Hi, I'm Sadhna, Chairman of Rebalancing Life. I'm a homeopath, a registered homeopath here in the UK. Now, quite often you hear me talking about weight loss. Today, I'd like to do something slightly different. I've asked a wonderful lady by the name of Dee Staines to join us. And hi, Dee. And we're going to hear Dee's story and how she embarked on a journey to lose her excess fat, excess weight that she was holding on to. So Dee lost, just to give you a summary, Dee lost 64 pounds over 5 months. So for those of you that are familiar with kilograms, that's 29 kilograms or roughly 4.5 stone, which I'm sure you'll agree with me is a remarkable improvement in weight and health. So without further ado, let's have Dee on board. Welcome, Dee. Thank you for your time today.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Dee, I'd like to ask you, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your history, how your health was, and what you just give us a little bit of insight into your background, your health, and your weight prior to embarking on a weight loss journey?
Okay. It's an interesting one because even as a child, I was deemed to be overweight. I remember being weighed at the age of 14 at school, and I was 9 stone 4. And I was the biggest, and yet I'd look back now and I'd give anything to be 9 stone 4, but I was always the biggest person in the class, the biggest person in the room. But I had this amazing personality about me, so people tell me, that took me through life. So for my working years, I've always had very upbeat jobs. I'm in sales and motivation. I've run companies. I've held director of sales, all of those big titles, board of directors, the lot, because my weight never stopped me being successful. And because of that, I believe I didn't really look at what my weight was doing to me on any other levels. And I always was told I dressed really well, my hair looked really good. Most of my compliments were, haven't you got nice eyes? And so all of that tended to make me have confidence in myself. And I led myself to believe that weight size didn't matter. And I believed that for over 35 years. But it does matter, guys, and it's about the damage you're not seeing you're doing to yourself when you carry excess weight. And as somebody at 53 that then became unwell, it was due to my active lifestyle. Active mean work lifestyle, lack of exercise. I'm allergic to exercise, still am now, and also mainly the kind of food I ate. So that led me to being very unwell later on in life, which I'll tell you about in a moment.
Mm-hmm. So what changed then? What?
I think what changed is the older you get, the more signs that appear that everything isn't quite right. And I've always been a very bad sleeper, but I didn't really put that down to anything. And it's now clinically proven if you don't get a good night's sleep, your body doesn't repair itself as well as it should during the nighttime period. It's much more difficult to lose weight in any shape or form. And I always know I should be smaller than I am. So I've tried every diet under the planet. Every diet, and I would start a diet on a Monday morning and I'd give up by Monday afternoon. Then it would take me 2 or 3 weeks to actually get beyond Monday afternoon because I was so busy. I just craved the chocolate, the sweets, the crisps, the quick fix that would give you that high, but then an hour later you had nothing in you, so you needed something else to get you back up there again. And it wasn't until I actually intentionally stopped work in 2011, I think it was, 2011, I intentionally left one job and there was about a 4-month gap before I took on my next corporate role. And in that time, my body just relaxed. And when you suddenly do that, the brain says, right, we're now going to let her know what she's done to us over the last 40 years, 35 years. And literally I started to feel, first of all, pains in my wrists, then pains in my hands, then pains in my shoulder, my legs, my body, everything. And I couldn't understand it. I thought, but I'm relaxing, I'm resting, I should have more energy, not less energy. Mm-hmm. And as the time went on, I went back to work. It was getting worse and worse because now it had got hold of me. And I started to have operations to fix me. So operation in my wrist, one on my hand, 2 on my shoulders and 1 in my foot. So it was 2.5 years before they found out what was causing all the pain. And it turned out it was rheumatoid arthritis. And even though it was ruled out a year before, sometimes it's not shown on in your blood tests. But I was categorically diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Then you're given pharmaceutical medication. And when you're given pharmaceutical medication, when you've been in so much pain, and I just want to share with you what that pain looked like. I have a cup here that I can hold very easily full with you right now. Me, in my bad time, I had to drink my cup like this because I couldn't hold it. I didn't have the strength in my hands to hold it. I couldn't brush my hair, couldn't wash my hair, couldn't do my bra up, and I couldn't do a simple thing. You know, when you put your coat on, you probably don't even think about it, but you do that with your shoulders. I couldn't do that. That was agony. So I had to have gently put my arm in, and somebody else had to put my other arm in, and it became very deliberating. So I saw myself heading for a wheelchair, and I was only 51, 52 when I was diagnosed. So you take all the medication they give you and you suddenly start to feel better and you're like, yay, that's wonderful. And then suddenly stress comes back in, and I certainly hadn't changed my eating habits then. Then a bit more pain comes back in. So they give you a bit more of drugs. Then they put you on another one. Then they up what you're on. Then they put you in another one. So eventually I was on a drug called methotrexate at the highest level, 25 milligrams, and on 2 other drugs, plus a drug to get me to sleep at night. So 4 medications. And I just knew that must be doing something bad inside me. I wasn't somebody that would take an aspirin very easily, let alone all of this. When eventually they said that your pain is so bad you now need to go on biochemical drugs, I thought, no, that is not happening. I now need to sit down and do some research and see what I can do that's different. So it took extreme pain, a bucket load of medication, and actually the will to find an alternative that led me to the program that you're now talking to everybody about.
So at this point, you weren't working, I take it?
I was. Student.
You were?
I had one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. I was a 6-figure, that big number. I was on a big number salary. I was on the board of directors. But I went to work in agony every single day. So unfortunately, I had the best job of my career at the worst time in my personal life. And after 18 months, I decided to hand my notice in there because physically, I didn't think I was doing them justification in being there. So yes, you know, you still have to work through all of this, unfortunately.
Yeah. So then how did you come across the homeopathy? How did you come across the...
Well, it got to a stage that I then took on what I thought was a more low-key job. You know, when you jump out of the frying pan into the fire, that's what I did. So I went from earning up here to half the salary on what I thought was going to be a much easier ride, if I'm honest. And it wasn't. It was even more horrendous. The pressure there was just unbelievable. And after 18 months there, or a year I think it was, I actually decided if I'm ever going to get myself better, I actually need to stop and give myself time to recover. And that's where I got to. And the trigger was my mother dying. And, you know, that makes you look at life so differently. And I didn't have enough time with her. I should have spent more time with her, but my body was in so much pain, all of that stuff that you come to. And so I decided, right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to change my direction in life. And that's what I did. So I stopped work in the May. and I started to look for why I was in so much agony and why the chemical products weren't working for me anymore. And I started to read more and more that when you get these chronic inflammatory diseases, chronic diseases, they're generally associated with lifestyle. And lifestyle is toxins in your body, food choices that you make, lack of sleep and stress. And I had all of them. So I thought, right, well, what's the alternative? And everything pointed to taking those things out of your life and actually making your body more acidic, getting rid of the toxins, actually putting more what you call antioxidants into your body. And the most important ingredient was great nutritional value that would boost your immune system and help you fight whatever it is that was trying to take over your body. So how does that look? Is that just eating good food? It used to be, but unfortunately it's not anymore. An orange that your grandmother might have eaten to get her vitamin C for the day, you'd have to eat 5 or 6 of them now. So the quantity of food you would need to eat to get the good nutritional value means that we can no longer eat that amount of food. You have to take supplementation. So I actually kind of looked at that and thought, do you know what, that makes sense. And as I was looking for the right supplements to help with my pain, I came across a company that did the most beautiful supplements that were 100% natural, because I didn't want any more chemicals in my body, that were made in facilities that supported that 100% natural values that this company held. And they also happened to have a homeopathic weight loss product that was associated with them. And I thought, wow. And the one thing I've always believed in is homeopathy. And I thought, I've never looked at homeopathy for weight loss. It never dawned on me. I'd always gone to your traditional routes, your Weight Watchers, your Slimming Worlds, all of those things. And I thought, homeopathy, I'm going to look at that closer. And I thought, well, if I'm going to make myself better, let's see if I can lose a bit of weight along the way. That could be the byproduct. And that was then the journey I embarked on September the 16th, 2013. And it's a day that will be ingrained in my mind forever, because it was the day that I took me back and made myself better.
Yeah. So it's not even 4 years yet, is it really? No. Wow. So you started to take the drops and you started to take some supplements.
Yes.
And how did you feel? How did you feel once you started?
Well, first of all, there's an investment associated with it all. And so many people don't think twice about a night out costing them £100, one night for £100, or booking a last minute weekend away that costs £400, £500, £600. Or for me, it was gym membership. So I joined a gym in that May because I was going to get myself better, because everybody tells you need exercise to get yourself better. So I joined a gym. I paid £850 up front because I thought if I paid it to them up front, I would go. Guess what, guys? I didn't go. I wasted my money. I think I went 6 times, because unless you're in the zone, unless you're in the mindset, you don't get it right. So first of all, I thought, right, for me, I can't just invest in the drops alone, because I had a lot more issues going on with my body.
Yeah.
I had pain, I had inflammation, I had a chronic disease. So drops alone will lose you between 12 and 16 pounds. But I wasn't on a weight loss journey. I was on a regain your health journey. So
right.
Very different for me at that time, which meant I needed to invest in me for the first time in my life. I was always happy giving money away to other people. So I chose that £850 that I wasted only 4 months earlier in a gym would have been better spent on products that would get me better. So I decided to do exactly that and have a set amount of money that I felt was the first time that I would invest in me, and just look at the next 28 days. So whatever that cost for 28 days, I was going to be 100% on plan. And if I got a good result, I'd get to 29 and beyond, because I knew I had to be on it for at least 3 months, because I was so unwell, for it to change me internally and make my body work again in a way that it was designed to, before I clogged it up with all these bad living lifestyle and food choices. So it took 28 days for me to get the real results that I'm going to share with you in a minute, that were just life-changing forever.
Yeah. So I realised that at that stage you were on a regain your health journey rather than on a weight loss journey as such. But can I just ask you how much you weighed at that time and what size you were? Do you mind sharing that with us?
Not at all. And apologies, I'm getting some messages in here. I didn't turn that off. But at my biggest 7 years ago, I was 18 stone 12. And I'd given up on all sorts of diets at that stage and decided that in order for me to be less, because you do know, you know, if you're an intelligent person, you know, at 18 stone 12, you're putting all sorts of pressure on your heart, your lungs, all the functional things, your kidneys, your livers, to function as they should. It's dragging around all that weight, so it has to work harder. And at some stage, that can't be good. So I knew for my health in the future, I should actually look at trying to reduce my weight. So I'd given myself a target of only losing half a stone by the end of every year. And that if I was always lighter at the end of every year, at least I was going in the right direction. And that was just cutting back every now and again. So at my biggest, I was 18 stone 12, and it took me 3 years to lose 18 pounds and keep it off. So I actually started this regime when I was 17 stone 6. So still very big at 17 stone 6. And as you said at the beginning, 5 months later, I was 64 pounds lighter.
Wow.
Having had Christmas in between where I put on quite a lot of weight because I didn't really get it. So that's including putting weight on and then getting it back off again.
Wow. Okay. So how did those first 28 days go for you then?
When you get all your products, if you're on the full clinical pack like I was, you kind of get a little bit overwhelmed to start with, because you think, I've never been anybody that takes tablets on a regular daily basis until and even my methotrexate I only take once a week. Now all of a sudden I'm given this whole lot of stuff that I've got to take. So it's a little bit overwhelming. But there's an element of excitement. Maybe, just maybe, this one's going to work. Because everything you read about it says it works faster and quicker and more effectively than anything else. But being the skeptic I was, I'm like, yeah, but that's for everybody else. I'm different. It won't work for me unless I follow it 100%. So I did have the conversation, and I've actually written it down on my phone. I was on holiday the week before, and I've written it down on my phone as a thought process. This time I'm going to get it right, because I've invested money in it. Not £5 to go to a club, not £30 on a product, not £50 on an injection. Done all of them. This time I put a decent amount of investment in me to make the difference. And I'm going to stick to it 100%. Otherwise, I've done what I did at the gym. I've just thrown my money to people that I'm never going to see again. So that's the first bit. So I felt scared, I felt excited, and I felt intimidated. And then I struggled for the first 10 to 14 days, kind of getting my head around what I should do and how I should do it. But once I got through that period, I was absolutely fine, actually. And now all I do is I shop on a Sunday and I have all the right food in the fridge, and I just recreate it as I go through the week with whatever I fancy on that day. But it's having the right food in your cupboards to start your journey, and getting yourself organised with taking the supplements every day, or if you're just on the drops, making sure you take those at the right time, at the right place. So it's thinking about it. To me, it's planning. You need to plan.
Yeah. And quite often I say to clients that, you know, if you've got up to a stone to lose, you can do it in 28 days with the drops and healthy eating. And healthy eating means homemade, wholesome food. that's what the food recommendations are, aren't they?
Totally.
Yeah, so cut out processed food completely. That's a big no-no. But if you've got more than a stone to lose, then that means you're holding on to more toxins at the cellular level. So the fat cells need more detoxification.
Absolutely.
And that's why we need the supplements to cleanse and then replenish.
Totally.
And that's why, we recommend more products. But no, that's great. So after the 28 days, Dee, how did you feel and how much weight had you lost?
Well, it's so interesting because really you do get obsessed by the scales. And, I really want everybody to know, please only ever weigh yourself once a week. Because your body changes week to week. Some days you lose it in the first 3 days. Some it's the last 3 days. Some you don't lose it on the scales. You lose percentage body fat instead, where your muscles are taking over, and muscles weigh more than fat weighs. So please don't get obsessed with the scales. It's what happens over those 28 days as the end result that's more important. So I became only focused on the scales on a Monday, but the rest of the time how my body was feeling. So I instantly noticed that within 5 days, I was able to move my joints much more effectively than I had been for the previous 9 months. After about 2 weeks, I was getting a little bit more sleep and my body started to feel looser. That's the only way I can describe it. And then by the end of 28 days, I probably was about 20% down in pain. I couldn't quite believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I thought, wow. And then all my skeptic friends said, yeah, but you're eating healthy. That's what's doing it. Really? Eating healthy within 5 days made my finger move? I don't think so, because I've been on a million diets and that never happened before. So it was the overall holistic approach to it. One thing on their own would have got a result, but not the overall holistic result that I actually ended up with. So the thing that really blew me away was at the end of 28 days, I weighed 19 pounds less.
Wow.
19 pounds. Now, remember before it took me 3 years to do that and keep it off? And that was all the motivation I needed to get to day 29 and beyond.
That's
because
incredible.
It does feel a hardship that when you go to a social event, you can't perhaps have a drink that night, or you can't eat the food on the table. But it's not the end of the world. You do this properly for your 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it is, 100%, and you get a gift for life. This was 3.5 years ago. Look at me, look at me, look at me,
Absolutely.
with me. And that's the gift our program gives you, because it changes so much about what you used to be like to where you are. That's why we hate calling it a diet program. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
It's an eating program. It's a weight management program. Whatever you want to call it, it's not a diet. Diets don't work. You put the weight back on again. And I'm not going to lie to you, Sadhna, I still love cake. I still love cake. And to me, I have a week on holiday. I'll make sure I find wherever the cake shop is in the resort, always. I will want my daily fix of cake. But I crave to go back to normal, because the way it makes me feel after eating it 2 or 3 days, I feel like my stomach's bloated. I feel like I haven't got as much energy, because when you eat that cake, as I used to, which was instead of lunch, I'll have a cake, you don't have the energy. You don't have to get up and go, and your body hasn't been fed a good nutritional product. So an hour later, you're looking for something else to eat.
Yeah.
And so those are the lessons that you learn throughout our program. And what I haven't actually told you is one of my biggest nemesis was Diet Coke. And Diet Coke was my go-to drink. I don't drink alcohol, so that was easy for me. But Diet Coke, morning, afternoon, evening. I mean, on a hot day, I would have it like that. But at weekends, I go to a restaurant, 4 or 5 Diet Cokes, go to a pub, 6 or 7 Diet Cokes throughout the evening. I haven't touched it in over 3.5 years. And not because I'm being good, because I no longer like the taste. And I'm like, how did I drink that for so long? It's disgusting. So it changes everything. And I no longer eat potatoes in the same way that I did. You know, at first I'd look at my plate and think, oh my God, it looks empty. There are no potatoes on there. And now I don't even think about it. My husband and the family still eat all of that kind of things. And sometimes I forget to cook them. I'm cooking a dinner and I forget to cook the potatoes. But because I don't think about them anymore as something I need in my body. I'll have them if I want them, but often I don't want them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I've taken the drops too, and I think it's all about, you start to eat in a more conscious way, don't you? So if you are having potatoes one day, you know you're having potatoes, but you won't want to have them the next day, or you know, yeah, it's about eating with awareness, isn't it?
And do you know, it's so funny because it's just reminded me, last week I met two of my girlfriends in a little coffee shop, and not coffee shop, cafe place where we had lunch. And I ordered an omelette with salad. And it comes with chips and a little bit of salad. And I said, oh, no chips, thank you. I'll have the whole salad. And they both looked at me and went, oh, you're being good at the moment. I went, no. And they went, well, why aren't you having any chips? I went, I don't really eat chips anymore. I said, and I certainly wouldn't want a plateful of them. I'd rather have a plateful of salad. And they looked at me and went, oh, we thought you only did that when you were on your drops. No, no, no. This is what I do all the time. I eat what I want to eat, and I didn't want chips in the middle of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And they both did.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's their guilt in some ways.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing it perfect. I was doing it because that's what I wanted.
Yeah, you start to see food differently, don't you? And you start to think, is this nourishing me? If it's not nourishing you, you just don't want it. Yeah, no, that's great. So you lost 19 pounds after 28 days, and then what happened next?
Well, just carried on the program. And eventually I was on the program solidly for 5 months. I did have the gap of Christmas in between, and then came back and I lost 64 pounds. My pain reduced by over 80% in my body, which was phenomenal. And one of these days I will share with you a dance I did the day I realised I'd lost quite a lot of weight and I could move my body again. But I thought if I actually show you what my picture looked like, let me just share my screen. Because this was me. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This was me. On the left was at my biggest, which was 18 stone 12. And on the right, probably about 18 stone 4. I remember all these holidays by the weight I was. And yeah, I said weight didn't affect me. Of course it did. And look where my hand's placed on the blue picture. That was my typical pose, thinking it would make me look smaller because I'd sucked my stomach in, and my stomach was sucked in there as well. So how sad is that? So look at that now and look at this now. I look years younger, and some people that actually haven't seen me for a few years can't quite figure out what's different, and they say you've grown your hair. No. I lost a significant amount of weight, nearly 6 stone from my biggest, and that's life-changing. And life-changing in as much as I'm never going back there. Never.
No.
I put too much hard work into getting back to here.
Yeah.
Yes, I fluctuate 10, 14 pounds. I don't have a problem with that, and I don't worry about it because I've got the control now. I know how to get back on track instantly. So my philosophy is 80% good, 20% bad.
Yeah, good. That's good. So what can you do now that you couldn't do before?
What can I do now? Well, take away that all the things that I couldn't do when I had pain, I can obviously now do again. But let's go a little bit further than that. As a large person not in pain, I can get onto a plane, which I travelled quite a lot for my job, 2-3 times a month on a plane. And I used to have mild little panic attacks thinking I'd end up in the middle seat. And so I used to make sure I bought speedy boarding, so I'd be on the plane first, that I'd have either an aisle or a window. I now don't care. In fact, I often take the middle seat now because I can just get in and I can click the seatbelt without panicking, do I have to ask for an extension? And I was at the extension level. There was once I sat there holding it, hoping they wouldn't notice I couldn't do it up. and you'd lift your stomach up and try and do it underneath because that was a shorter route. So I can do a seatbelt up in a plane and I don't get panicky anymore doing that. I've got a lot more energy to walk. Your whole life around you, even though I was always a very happy, upbeat person, I seem to be even more so, which can be quite annoying to some people, but I love life. I love life. Yeah. I look at myself in the mirror now, which I didn't before. And even more so this last year, because I'm using a really good skincare, which I feel has taken a year to really come to fruition. And my skin is just amazing. And I look in the mirror and go, oh, you're not that bad, actually. So I've got a better image of myself, I think.
Oh, fantastic. Look good and feel good. Yeah. So what advice would you give the listeners today, Dee?
My final 3 bits of advice I'm going to give you is you have to plan your food choices. Yes, if you're on the supplements, you might actually be on the drops and supplements to shape your body, to just get more energy, and you just want a little bit of weight loss. That's absolutely fine as well. But whatever it is, plan ahead. So the night before, think about, where am I going? What am I doing tomorrow? What will my choices be? So if you're at a work event where they've laid on lunch and you know it's going to be biscuits, cake, sausage rolls and sandwiches, they don't seem to have much of an imagination for a business lunch. I always bring something with me because I'm not going to eat that anymore. And it's not because I don't enjoy it. I actually feel it sits on my stomach and I get a bit of indigestion from it now, because in the old days I would have eaten it and not noticed because that was the regular food my body got used to. But now my body doesn't get used to that. It doesn't like it. It doesn't like the grease and the fat of it. So I always choose to either bring something with me or order in advance and have something like chicken with salad. So think about where you're going and make the choices accordingly, is what I would say to you. The next thing is, stop listening to people around you and believe that you will make this work. Visualize how you want to be. And I would say at the end of 28 days to start with, because like everything, you're going to be a skeptic like I was. So if you get through 28 days, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months becomes much easier. 28 days is your first goal. So focus. What does that look like day 28? How do you want to feel? And I actually recommend you write it down. How you're feeling now, all the bad stuff, to how you want to feel in 28 days, and see where that gets you. So believe it and visualize it. And my final tip is, you owe it to yourself to focus on you. Fix you, because you've got a long life ahead of you. You've only got one body. Treat it well and it will last you well into the future. And my philosophy is, I want to go into old age being young.
Yeah, absolutely, which is so possible for all of us if we take responsibility now.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It is.
Thank you so much, Dee. It's been inspirational listening to you. Really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. If you'd like to know more about the program that Dee went on, I'd love to have a chat with you. Feel free to browse my website. It's www.rebalancing.life.com, where you will see more information there. Thank you so much, Dee. Really, really grateful for your time today, and really look forward to, for you to inspire people to follow your steps, whether you're on a health management or a weight loss journey. These drops and this program can help you. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Good luck, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.